Brother, I'm going, wanna wow Hulk Hogan. If I like get some moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been seeing stars, trying to kick her on this chokehold. But it's no holds barred, middle fingers like I'm Stone Cold.
And what is good, ladies and gentlemen? This is We Too Deep, and that's DJ Wavy D, and this is the Slap and Meat Wrestling Podcast. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the fallout of Royal Rumble, our thoughts on that, and then a bunch more after that. But first, we're going to start with some news that has come out over the last week or so. And there's really three ways that I've heard people talk about it. And that's one, not talk about it. Number two, sort of automatically assert guilt to said people involved. Or three, automatically assert innocence. We're going to do it a fourth way. We're just going to use the facts that we know and talk about this. And that is the Vince McMahon allegations. I'm not going to read the text messages. If you want to hear people read it, go listen to Jim Cornette, because that guy.
You want to give a great reading of it? If you guys are familiar with Joe Budden from the Joe Budden podcast, he delivered a juicy delivery on it. My ears were dripping a little bit.
Y'all have all heard the text messages and all of that. We ain't going to read all of that. But I do want to talk about it. I think it is important for us to at least touch the topic. So I'll let you start. What is your overall thought sort of on the allegations? What do you feel about this whole situation?
So I cannot say I'm surprised because I don't know, it's weird. Because it's a person who not necessarily you look up to, but someone who you've known from a distance for years, or like you think you've known, because you see them on TV for the last 30-ish years. He's been on TV in some sort of fashion, 30 plus years, and of course you don't know these people in real life. You only know what you see on TV from their character, but in all the interviews you heard about him from other wrestlers over the years, it seemed like he had a good rapport with most of them. After once he didn't, they kind of mended bridges along the way, for most of them. And when the news came out, I was like, oh, so was his on TV character really a character? You know what I'm saying? And, not to make crazy light of the situation, I do believe to a certain extent, innocence of proven guilty. The stuff that came out, the evidence and all that, seems pretty damning. But I have other thoughts on that I'll probably dig in deeper a little bit later. After hearing your initial thoughts.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think I hesitate making judgment because we don't know what's true and what's not. Right now, they're just allegations. I will say this. I want to preface this. I'm not going to condone it. I'm sure Wavy D won't condone this. If what is true happened in those text messages is true, absolutely we have to condemn that type of behavior. However, there is a part of me that, when reading those text messages, thought there's no way an 80-year-old man wrote these.
Yeah, that's what really threw me off. Like, how old is Vince? Like 77, 78?
Yeah.
He's up there. And like it felt like I was reading like a text message from a kid who just discovered like pornography. And now I was just like, it just seems so like wild and crazy, and also like, who leaves quote unquote evidence like that? If those are his text messages, who leaves those out there? Who just sends those? And so, I mean, for those who aren't aware, Vince McMahon has been alleged against him by a woman named as Miss Grant, that he sex trafficked her, sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, sexual assault, the whole nine. And then allegedly he would pawn her off slash pimp her out to other wrestlers, or at least attempt to pimp her out to other wrestlers. And he would like watch other talent slash workers or people who are employed by WWE also have like sexual relations with her. And it's very like weird and very abnormal, and like it's really caught you by surprise.
Right.
And just I don't know, like so apparently, if my facts are straight, she was one of the women who initially came out with the hush money scandals,
Yep.
and then so a part of their NDA was that Vince was supposed to allegedly pay her $3 million. He allegedly only paid her $1 million of the 3 million,
Mm-hmm.
making her come out. You know, their NDA was the null and void, which also, from what I heard, in most states, like NDAs that hide sexual activity are illegal. So I don't know if that
Right.
NDA was enforceable in the first place, but yeah. So he didn't pay the money, and then she came out and said all the stuff that he did and filed a civil suit. I don't know if the statute of limitations are up for like actual like criminal suit.
Right.
Like the part of me, like most, I do want to believe victims, and I want to believe their stories, believe what they say. But part of me is like, why don't you want to see the man behind bars if he did all this crazy harsh stuff
Right.
to you?
Right.
I know sometimes it's hard to get the evidence to prove it, and it's really hard to prove this stuff, especially if it's over like a long period of time ago. That it's really hard to have evidence. But I feel like if those text messages are valid, that's really good evidence to prove it. And like once you
Mm-hmm.
want to see it behind bars, I guess he's old. He'll go to like one of those rich prisons, so get your money. But at the same time, it's like, don't you want to see him behind bars before you get money? You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
my point of view.
I feel that. I, f- I don't know. It's just like you said. It's kind of weird just seeing someone you sort of like grew up like when I heard this of like the allegations in 2021, the hush money stuff. Like, yeah, that made sense. Like that sounds like something Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon would do. But I
Mm.
don't know, some of the stuff, like, I don't know, like
So,
it just
so
doesn't fit. It doesn't fit what everyone has sort of said that has worked for him. Has said that Vince McMahon would act like I said, Jim Cornette. I mean, he did a whole like 45-minute segment of his show talking about this and said that everything that he was reading sounded nothing like the Vince McMahon he knew.
mm,
Um, and so I don't know. It just I'm not saying he didn't do it. I don't want to say he's guilty or innocent until because we live in a culture now that um, instead of innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent.
mm,
And so you see everyone on social media automatically sort of like, oh, Vince McMahon's dead to me, blah blah, this, that, and the third. Going after him, going after Triple H, going after all these people. Um, and I don't know. I just I was thinking about it earlier. Um, if this does get picked up by a court, and in front of a judge, I mean, there's some things that could come out, in questioning to Triple H. People like Shawn Michaels, Kevin
mm,
Dunn. That this could be a situation where Endeavor TKO may have to clean house.
mm.
Um, and so I don't know how that'll feel. I don't know if you watched the presser after
Yeah, I
Royal
did.
Rumble,
Yeah,
but Triple H was, he did what I expected him to do.
yeah.
But I mean, it definitely. I don't know if he has any knowledge of this. This might be something where TKO has to, get him out of there.
Mm.
Think about their brand. So that's just. But yeah. Anything else you want to say on this topic before we move forward?
Um. So yeah, like when it comes to Triple H and all them, I'm under the mindset that um if there was more people involved in it, like there is, I feel like she would name more people. But
Mm-hmm.
also, if she doesn't name more people, I feel like Vince loves the WWE so much and loves his creation, his baby, that he'll just take the bullet for everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't throw anyone under the bus, especially if they don't speak out against him. So I'm not saying Triple H and all them know anything about it. They might not. They might do, or they might do. They might not. Um, if they do know about it, they didn't really do anything about it. That's also a shame on them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from what I know about Triple H throughout his interviews and all his stories throughout his life, or throughout his career, he seems like a pretty decent stand up guy. Again, we only know what we only know or see what they want us to see. In their interviews, at the end of the day, these guys are all actors. At the end of the day, so
Right.
it's kind of same thing with like Jonathan Majors when he did his Good Morning America interview. A lot of people didn't buy it because he's an actor, and they just thought his interview was him acting and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So at the end of the day, we don't really know these people. It's definitely a very big important part is to acknowledge that you don't really know these people, and you only see what they want you to see on TV or in their interviews and their movies and all this stuff. Um, but yeah, if Triple, like back to the presser, I expect him to say anything about it.
Right.
I was kind of surprised that they let the questions get through,
Yeah.
but I guess is also another way to show that WWE doesn't really vet their questions like that. Because like when I watched some of the AEW press conferences, it seemed like they vet theirs a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to compare apples and oranges or who does what better, who does what. But
Right.
I was surprised that it got through. But unless it was just such a big a topic that WWE knew that they couldn't really vet the questions out without looking shady, so
Right.
they
Right.
probably could have just let it through that way. But
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes answered it. A lot of people liked his answer a lot. But also, Cody doesn't really have anything to do with it because he's just another contracted wrestler. And I
Right.
feel like he wasn't here for it because he returned in 2022? These
Yeah.
allegations came out in 2021 and before that. So, like, he wasn't here for it. So he's not really involved, anyways.
Right.
And yeah, Triple H and the rest of them, I'm just hoping that they don't know, but we never know.
Right. Yeah. I think I'll end it by saying, you know, if this did happen, absolutely, McMahon has to pay for whatever he did. I would like to see him behind bars because I think the stuff that he's being accused of, they're crime. He should pay for it. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that really bothers me are, and they're mostly AEW fans who come out and say, "Oh, if you support WWE after knowing these allegations, they're sort of putting that guilt on the fans as well." And I have nothing to do with this. I enjoy the
Mm,
product. It's a show to me. And I'm going to continue to enjoy watching WWE as long as it's on TV.
mm,
I'm not going to stop watching it because the now former chairman of the board did crimes. I mean, how many other shows are on TV? How many other celebrities have done crimes that we still support
mm.
them? So, um,
And it's crazy because the same people are the same people, granted, we kind of touched on it last week, but it's the same people who will tell you that they shouldn't erase Chris Benoit's history.
right.
And it's the same people where Chris Jericho was also accused of stuff on, over
Mm-hmm.
there,
Right.
and, all that stuff. So the history of wrestling was definitely very toxic. I definitely feel like it's moving forward and getting better,
Mm-hmm.
but it does come from a toxic boys will be boys
Right.
like mentality back in the day.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. All right, so we'll move on to the bigger event that happened this weekend, and that is the Royal Rumble. Um, so overall, what's your overall thoughts of the PLE itself, and then we'll break into
um,
the individual Rumble matches.
so I will say that I am happy that the women do get a Royal Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is that when you have two Royal Rumbles in one night, that itself is already 2 hours of a like 3.5 hour program.
Mm-hmm.
And then especially when you only fill it with like two other matches, and like we already knew the outcome of both of them. I feel like this
Right.
whole
Right.
card. I feel like we predicted the winner of the whole card. The only one that was a little bit of surprise, I guess was Cody, but to some people it was either Cody or Punk.
Right.
It was honestly a toss of 50-50. So like essentially you knew the winner of all 4 matches.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I'm not saying split the Royal Rumble into 2 nights, but like having 2 Royal Rumbles in one night, it's like when they have like 2 or 3 elimination chambers in one night. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's only so many spots you can do that so that way you don't take away from the other match. Like when they have the men's and women's like Money in the Bank match,
Right.
there's only so many spots that the women could do to leave spots open for the men and vice versa. And
Right.
so I feel like both Rumbles kind of told similar stories. Like, they had a baby face who got like injured and they came back at number 30. And like, we all kind of knew they're coming back, but we wish that they came back earlier so 30 could be like a surprise.
Right.
Like I
I didn't even put
always,
that. I didn't even put that together. They did the same booking for both shows.
yeah, and like I've always hated that when like especially when Vince was here back in the day when they would list you like 27 of the 30 competitors were like on the screen
Mm-hmm.
like during promotion. I like this year where it was like there was like 5 people from like each so there was a lot of wonder who's going to be in it this year. A lot of wondering, but it's like when you have people who know are going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wish that 30 spot was almost always a surprise. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like they could have brought in like say put Sammy at the Pac Mac. Oh, I'm not gonna get started on that. The Pat McAfee spot. I was under the assumption that he filled in for Brock, but apparently, Braun filled in for Brock, and the Pat McAfee spot was always going to be there. But if it was
Mhm.
always there, how come Pat didn't know about it? Like I feel like that's a little like unless Pat was just working and
Right.
saying that he didn't know. I feel like that's kind of dumb to be like,
Right.
oh, by the way, pal, your first night back in like 2 months, you're in the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Man had cowboy boots on.
I just, yeah.
Just
I
I don't
mean
know.
that spot. Oh, we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about these wasted entrances.
But I do feel like the right people won though.
Right. So I think when we step back from the hype that we put into it of this is who could be here, um, and look at what we actually got, I'm not upset with it.
Hmm.
Well, I'll put it back. I'm a little bit upset with Cody. But everyone knows I'm a Cody hater, and I'll be a proud Cody hater until they give me something to actually enjoy from his programming. But Bailey definitely the right choice.
Hmm.
And I'm really not all that upset with Cody. I hope they push the story that they started pushing yesterday. I hope he chooses Seth. I really do. I think that would be a better match for him. Just the way I view the bloodline story, I don't see where he fits in it anymore. And you and me sort of have different opinions on it.
Yeah.
I feel the last year has basically been a waste, and you feel it's been building his story, which it has, but it really hasn't led to anything. That's a whole different episode we could do. But
Well, I feel like that's part of the fallout after
yeah,
we get to that part.
true. Um, I think my biggest problem with the men's rumble, I didn't really have much problems with it other than the lack of true surprises.
Hmm.
But again, I think a lot of that was just hype. The Okadas and the Ty Dillingers and all of that was sort of just hype that I think we bought into. But with the women's, they have a bigger problem, and that is maybe 40% of the women on the roster that were in the Rumble got zero reaction.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's necessarily their fault. I think this has to do more so with they're not presented as serious competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Just someone like Candice LeRae came out like what 5, and
4. Yep.
yeah, and she literally the entire arena got quiet when her music played. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the women's division only has 2 belts to fight for. and then the tag team, and so they're not being presented as. Whereas in the men's, because the mid card is very strong in the men's side, everyone in there felt useful outside of the Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel if WWE could add some mid card title, something to give the women the fight for outside of the two main titles, that it wouldn't feel like a lot of fluff in the middle. Um, but I would still say the women had a better rumble. They had a little bit more surprises. Jordan
Mm.
Grace was a surprise for everyone. I don't think anyone predicted her to be there. And so that's pretty cool to see that TNA relationship. Um, and then, well, I guess we can go to this. Who are your breakout stars? We'll start with the women, and then we'll go to the men's rumble. Breakout stars.
So okay, I mean, it's not really so. She's not really a breakout because she already has the history and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. But I definitely feel like this was a big night for Bailey because she
Right.
got the win and got her to a WrestleMania title shot. I feel like she over the course of their careers, she has been the most slept on member of the four horsewomen. Of course, Charlotte has the most titles. Becky's been pushed a lot over like the last few years, involved in like every major women's story. Sasha has the big fan base. I feel like she's a little overhyped in my opinion, but she has the big fan base because she has that personality and she has that following. And I feel like Bailey is always like the the black swan or whatever. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I feel like she's the one that people don't keep an eye out for. And if you look at the Rumble, she had the second most eliminations behind Nia. She had 7 eliminations.
Mm.
So not only did she get a lot of elims, but she was an Our woman. She came in at the third spot, lasted like an hour and 3 minutes, and she had the eliminations.
Mm.
So I definitely feel like she was a breakout in this Rumble. Again, Nia Jax. A lot of people. I've been a avid enjoyer of her return. A
Yeah.
lot of people hate on her, but they hate on her for her past. I feel like since she's been back, she's been good. Um, I'm not a huge fan of her promo style because I feel like she's like this big strong woman, but she plays like the. I know she's essentially her character's like she's like the bully, but
Mm-hmm.
like when she's giving like a promo, I always feel like she's like kind of whining
Mm-hmm.
or like being too like Disney movie sassy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I feel like Nia had a good showing. 8 eliminations, led the pack. But like outside of them, Jade had a great night. She came out and eliminated the big threat and Nia single handedly, picking her up not once but twice,
Mm-hmm.
and woman handling her. Um, Tiffany Stratton looked like money when she came out. Came in the ring, hit a beautiful swanton, made it to the final 4, right or 5? Final
Something like
4.
that. Yeah.
I think it was the final 5. Yes, final 5 because she got eliminated. Then Bianca and then the 3 women. Yeah, so
Yeah.
she was final 5. She entered very late, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she showed a little bit of spark of what she got. Um, Liv Morgan was Liv Morgan. I don't really think she shined. She didn't really have the time to shine. I thought if you're gonna bring her back, you bring her back early and let her,
Right.
get some of that glow. But I feel like that's a big problem with the Royal Rumbles is that outside of when the participant enters the match and then does like 3 cool moves,
Mm-hmm.
it's just what's just stalling for the next person. So like
Right.
every year we fall into the trap of like being very overhyped for the Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
and then we fall into the same conundrum every year where it's like we're so hyped, it's gonna be such a big night, and then outside of the entrances, there's not too much going on in the ring itself.
Right.
But yeah, that's my breakout stars for the women's side of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So I'll add. I know you touched on her, but Jade. Just this is what I'm talking about. Like this exactly is what I'm talking about when I say that booking and presentation can make a character.
Mm,
So WWE did something very, very important before Jade showed up, and that is they mentioned that it took 6 people last year to eliminate Nia Jax. That's very important. This is why I say commentary is one of the most important parts of the presentation. Without commentary, no one's there to sell you the story. And so Michael Cole mentioned, it took like 6 people to eliminate Nia last year. So when you enter Jade Cargill into the match, you have that in your mind, and she single-handedly by herself eliminates the biggest threat in the match. Literally, and like you said, she had 8 eliminations. And so that presents Jade as, the giant of the division. She's, strong. They did the spot with her and Bianca in the they both had someone lifted up. I forgot who they were both lifting up, but that's going to be a match at some point. I'm expecting that to be the Mania match. Though part of me believes that Nia versus Jade would be something that I would get in. I'm with you on Nia's return. I'm for it. She's 100% improved in the ring. I think they've put her in a place presentation wise where she doesn't have to do too much. I think Vince just put her in a place where she had to do matches and she wasn't ready for it yet. But yeah, so Jade definitely, and I agree with you with Bayley. This was a big night for her because even though she's been, when we talk about like the 4 horsewomen, Charlotte gets her vacation every year, and so we never really see her. And then other than Becky, Bayley's been one of the ones that like she's a workhorse. Outside of her injury, she hasn't ever taken time off. She puts in the work. She's gotten over Io and Dakota, 2 people who would have not gotten over without Bayley, I believe, on the main roster. And has sort of even helped like Kairi Sane and even to a degree Asuka sort of get over with this whole faction. And so yeah, I definitely think that this was a big night for her to add to the Hall of Fame career that she already has. And I'm excited. I think I'm more excited for her story because I think it's going to play in a little bit more to a guessing game of who she's going to choose. And there's a lot more drama there than what we have with Cody. So we'll move to the men's then. Who's your breakout stars for the men?
Let's see. So actually, I feel like, okay, well, to answer your initial question, I feel like it was a really great showing for Braun Breaker. He came in, took Lesnar's spots, and did them really well. He showed that he belongs with the big dogs. He has the look, he has the move set, he has the athleticism, the agility, the power. Pretty much has everything. And currently on TNA, not TNA. Currently on NXT, he's showing that he has like the charisma and the funniness to be, a little funny backstage with him and Corbin. So he's showing that he's not just a strong guy with anger and muscles. Like he has like almost like a Kurt Angle, like a little funny side. Saying the entertainment side. So I feel like Braun definitely has he has a bright future. I feel like Dominic Mysterio had not saying he had a crazy night, but he eliminated Braun. He eliminated the big threat. And Dominic himself lasted about like 30 minutes. I feel like he had a good night. He showed that he outside the ring, kind of playing to the crowd. Like, I'm not gonna enter quite yet. Like, I feel like Dom does a lot of good stuff when it comes to entertainment outside the ring. Of course, he can wrestle. He might have the craziest moveset, but he does a lot of like the selling real well, a lot of the storytelling, entertainment part. He has an it factor about him. He wasn't in the match long, but I feel like Ludwig Kaiser he's gonna break out.
Yep.
Especially in 2024, I feel like he's gonna break out. Cody winning back to back, big thing. CM Punk had a good showing. He entered very late and still put in 21 minutes worth of time. Mostly because that one-on-one match with Cody at the end. I mean, yeah. So pretty much Braun, Dom, and Cody. Those are the guys who like really showed out.
Yeah, and I think I can agree with those. To add on to Kaiser, I liked what they did, and this is I've always believed that he's going to be the one to take the IC title off of Gunther. We sort of had this building for a while where Gunther, whenever Kaiser loses a match, Gunther sort of chastises him,
Mm.
and the same thing happened here. You know, it just so happened Kaiser gets eliminated, and 3 seconds later, Gunther's entering the Rumble. So as they're crossing each other up and down the ramp, and Gunther sort of looks at him with the sort of disgust that he always does. This is going to make Kaiser's face turn. He's going to be an instant baby face, like when the turn happens. I don't know if it's to like the Jey Uso level. I'll tell you something. That beginning of that men's rumble made me extremely hyped for WrestleMania
Yes.
between the Usos. Just everything about it, and I know people are tired of the bloodline story, but it fuels me when I see it.
Hmm.
Just the cinema that we get from Jey Uso, and his acting ability is crazy. I mean, Jimmy's good. He's not as good as Jay, but just the facial aspect of it, the facial Jay just can act and do that. He entered first, right? Jay entered first, and then
Yes.
yeah, and then Jimmy's
No. Yeah. Jay first, Jimmy
yeah.
second.
So
Yes.
when Jimmy's music hit and Jay sort of, he dropped his face and looked back and was like, "Oh no, it's my brother." Uh, it got me hyped for it. And but yeah, really, definitely Braun Breaker. He, last minute gets added to the match. He does his thing. He comes in. They present him well, uh, and I'm not going to call him a breakout star because we only see him during the Royal Rumble. But my man Omos showed back up. We're not going to see him for another 6 months. He'll magically get into Money in the Bank somehow.
I'm telling you, him and Randy Orton in WrestleMania. Watch.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with those guys. Braun, I think, definitely was like the big one that stepped out. Like, yeah, he's probably like the performer of this match. He definitely showed he was ready. And I hope they keep him on the main roster. After the Dusty Cup, he doesn't need to be down there anymore. So then we'll come to this is a harder question to answer, I think, for some, because I don't like the term wasted entrances, because I don't think it's fair to say, hey, you're a waste. And because in the past, we could say the legends were a waste, and I can agree with it. But if you're on the roster, like, you're there for a reason. It's not but there are some wasted entrances. So we'll start again with the women. Did you feel there anyone that was a waste?
Okay, so I'll put it this way: I'm happy that she got out the way early, and they got Natalia in first. Because I
I
know
told you that was gonna happen.
I'm a Natalia hater. Okay, I'll admit it here.
Big time.
She's a lovely person. She does a lot for the business. It's just that I feel like it's time for her to transition to a backstage role, more of a trainer role, or even like a Titus O'Neil brand ambassador role. I don't want to, really see her on weekly television. I feel like outside of like kids, she's not really connecting with the audience like that. Just me personally.
Right.
So I feel like, having her, I like that she got out the way early, but I don't care too much for her at the moment. Same thing with like Candice LeRae. I get, she has a big following. Like, people like her for her own work, but they also like her whole group of people that she's with. Indy and Johnny and all that niche group. So people like her, but I just don't really see star in her. Let's see. Katana Chance had a really good showing, so I'm not gonna say she was a waste. A lot, like you were saying, a lot of the women's roster, saying like all these women are fighting for tag titles or hanging out in catering. So
Right.
So I mean, if I just go down the list, like, the problem is that even if they're not having like all the matches in the ring, let's get some more backstage segments where I can see more of their personality. You know, say like no one's ever gonna tell you that the Hurricane was the greatest wrestler ever,
Right.
but he was highly entertaining. Not for his backstage segments, he was a very entertaining guy. People and they like seeing him.
Right.
Um, and also a big problem is that for half the women's roster, you didn't know who was coming out because you couldn't tell their music apart. A lot
Right.
of them have
What?
very generic music, and you couldn't
Yep.
tell who it was. There was people on Twitter who were in the audience saying that they're looking at the Tron because they couldn't figure out whose music it was, and that's why like a lot of like reactions were delayed or didn't even happen because people were confused on who actually came out. Like
Mm.
what's their names? Isla Dawn and
Alba Fire. Yeah.
yeah, like who like their music hit. I was like, who the hell is coming out to the ring right now? And like
Right.
I was like, who is this? And yeah, I mean, like the whole middle of the roster or the whole middle of the match was tag team partners coming out. Like
Right.
literally, you had Ivy Nile. Well, sorry, Ivy Nile followed by Katana Chance. Bianca came out in there. Kyrie then came out, and then Tegan, then Kaden, and then Chelsea, Piper, Zaya. Like you have all these tag team wrestlers and all these lower mid card wrestlers that
Yeah.
like it was just a lot of fluff in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the women's rumble was actually better than the men's rumble,
Yeah.
just because I feel like they had, which is weird saying that there's all this fluff, but they had a lot of star power, especially star power late in the rumble. Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
men's, you know, they show so much of them to the point where it's almost like a lot of them are on equal footing. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't really separate the stars from the mega stars. And
Right.
I'm not gonna say Jimmy and Jay were a waste because they definitely weren't. But after their initial interaction, they were just like background pieces the whole time. So like
Right.
Jay might have been in there for 50 minutes, but he only eliminated one guy, which is JD McDonough. So like
Mm.
he spent 50 minutes just kind of like hanging on the bottom rope the whole match. It's like outside of their initial interaction, their whole participation in Rumble was kind of a waste.
Right. So for the women, one you didn't mention that I felt was just a complete waste of space
Oh,
is
Pat McAfee, big waste. Go ahead.
Maxine Dupree. I'm sorry, she can't wrestle. Please just let her be a mouthpiece. She's entertaining, but she can't be in a situation where she has to do actual matches.
She was practicing the Alpha Academy skin the cat, but she just failed a little bit. Okay, it's a growing pain. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like there was she was doing the little like Otis hip thrust thing at random times. Just it was weird. It was a weird little like 5 minute period of time there that no one knew what the hell was going on. Um, but that was really the only one that I really would say was a waste in my opinion.
Valhalla.
Yeah, yeah, we can add her.
Unless they're gonna build towards Ivar versus our truth. Say they might build to that. But
Truth is the breakout star we all need to love.
yes.
But we'll go to the man. I'm gonna let you rant a little bit on Pat McAfee because I feel you got a rant inside of you on this one.
Oh, okay. So like as far as the Pat McAfee thing, it's like, he says he didn't know it could be a work, it could not be a work, what I'm saying. I'm gonna take him for his word at this point because I feel like there's no reason to like really lie about it. I just feel like that's like a pointless work to do. But like if he really didn't know and like you weren't gonna have him do anything, like give that spot to like someone who like is on TV weekly or someone who's in NXT like busting their ass. Like just have Pat McAfee come in the ring and like eliminate himself because he sees Omos and Braun. Like of course, it's like haha kind of funny. But then when you look back at it, you're like, that's just a waste of a spot. And like I
Right,
feel like for the men's rumble that lacks surprises, like everybody in this match was a current superstar on the roster.
right,
They had no outside people. I feel like you could have entered like a Moose in there if you want to like interact with TNA.
or
You could have brought
or
Moose in. You
even
could, Trick
or even
Williams.
there you go. That was the name I was gonna say because at that point in the Rumble, it was dead. let's talk about this Tampa crowd for a minute. Y'all suck. That crowd was mid as hell.
Yo, everyone on Twitter and TikTok comments were really trying to say the crowd was live, that were there. They're like, everyone's talking about the crowd was dead, and they're like, what are you talking about? We were super live, we were super this. So I don't know if it was a production issue, but even like
Right.
when I was home watching it, I thought they were dead. But
Right.
everyone insists that they were live.
But it looked like it at least sounded and looked like they were dead. Imagine McAfee came like 24, 25, something like that. Imagine at that point in the Rumble, Trick Williams music just hit.
Yes,
Like that whole arena, maybe not the whole arena, but like 80% of the crowd knows who Trick Williams is.
He came out at was it Raw or SmackDown this week?
It was SmackDown last
week. He came out on SmackDown. The whole crowd was going crazy.
Right. So he was there. Like they were an hour away from Orlando, so it's not like he's not available.
Yeah.
And so that would have been, especially if I felt that they could have used that, because even on SmackDown they added to the story, but another little notch of like Trick and Melo story, where they could have like Trick accidentally eliminate Carmelo because someone ducked and he kicked him over the ropes. Like I felt that they could have added to that story, especially seeing that tonight they're doing their tag team match to advance to the finals. I don't know who won. I haven't paid attention to it, but
me neither. I don't have it on either.
But McAfee definitely was a waste. My biggest question is you have Braun Breaker and Omos staring. Why did none of them try to attack Pat? I get they're trying to be the little funny little skit thing there, but
well, I mean, I guess if Pat didn't know, maybe they didn't know.
Right. I felt like if you wanted to do something like that, put Tozawa at least in it, because that would have been
hilarious.
Tozawa. That would have been hilarious. To have Tozawa walk out there, get in the ring, all hype, and then have like Braun Breaker spear him in half, and then Omos throw him out of the ring.
The biggest wasted spot outside of Pat McAfee was Sami Zayn at 30.
They were 30. That, and
like,
I
he
think
could get back whenever, just not 30. 30 should be
right.
a
And
surprise.
just like we said in the CWC Discord, Punk should have been 30. At least it wouldn't have been like, because when the 30 spot came, that timer came on, everyone was like, okay, what surprise are we getting?
Yeah, because you already had everyone in the ring.
Right. So if Punk wasn't there and we knew it was Punk, no one would have been let down. And we could have still got the same finish to the match. And Punk probably wouldn't have, torn his tricep. So outside of those two, I don't really think there was. Well, I'm going to say this. Damian Priest should not have been in the match. You have the briefcase. What the fuck are you trying to get a main event spot for?
I mean, hypothetically, right? If you look at it like, if you try to look at it like from a logical standpoint,
I get it.
Or like from a character standpoint, he can be like, "Yo, I win the Rumble. I have a spot to match. Say if I lose, here I have a rematch right now. Like after the match, I jump you, hit you with a chair. You kind of get like a 2-for-1 special." So I mean, I understand it.
I feel it, but there's like logically they're not going to give him that opportunity. So why put him in the match?
I feel like there's been other wrestlers. I mean, I know like historically, not many of them have held the title. I mean, held the briefcase for that long. But I feel like he's not the first one to hold the briefcase into Royal Rumble or enter holding the briefcase.
Right.
But yeah.
And then final question, talking about Rumble, where are we going from here? I guess with the two winners, like, what's the story? Where do you see this going? Is he facing Roman, or is he going to choose Seth?
Well, the easiest answer is I think Bayley faces Io Sky. They'll get that out of the way.
Yeah,
I think she faces Io. As far as Cody Rhodes, yeah. So earlier when we kind of differ on this. I feel like this past year, Cody has been held up by obstacles trying to get back to Roman. Okay, if you remember the night after WrestleMania, Cody came out. I had you beat. Yeah. Solo came out, and then he got Brock to be his tag team partner to get some revenge, not knowing that Brock would turn on him. And then so at that point, Brock, he's fighting Brock and whatnot. Also, the draft. I forgot when the draft happened, but did the draft happen after Mania, right?
Yeah, it was right before Night of Champions, wasn't it?
I forget exactly when it happened, but the draft, split them up and put Roman on SmackDown, Cody on Raw. So like,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like, we're always like, they never treat the draft serious. Like, what's the point of having the draft if you got crossover shows? I feel like they did a pretty good job at keeping the main roster talent as far as like on SmackDown and Raw. And when they crossed over, 9 times out of 10, they had a storyline reason or they had like some explanation,
Mm-hmm.
like, or like if they went over, they got fined by the other GM. Like, I feel like they had a good storyline reason. So like, Cody's on Raw, and of course, he executed that trade or whatever. But the payoff was they got Kevin Owens for Jey Uso. That was the payoff or whatever. A lot of people thought it was gonna be Cody who went over, but I guess Triple H didn't want to pull the trigger yet on getting Cody to SmackDown because it was still too far away from getting from WrestleMania. But he faces Brock, has like those 3 matches. He beats Brock twice. I guess it was a no contest for the second match, right? They
Mm-hmm.
won one. It was no contest.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had the third match, or he passed out. I forgot what it was. Um, and then he was like, okay, now that I got Brock out the way, I have my eyes set on the title or whatever. And then boom, he gets thrown in with the whole. Oh, then he brings Jey Uso over at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of gets caught up in watching Jay's back because he feels responsible for Jay being attacked by Judgment Day and all that stuff. So he gets thrown into the best friends thing. So he gets sidetracked by that. And then he was like, now I'm setting my sights on Roman. I'm setting my sights on the title. And then he gets attacked by Shinsuke, who's jealous of him. And Shinsuke keeps coming after him and keeps getting at him. So I feel like he kept trying to set his eyes on the title, but people got in his way. And it's also like a throwback to when the John Cena redemption story, how he had to redeem himself to get back and fight for the title again throughout the whole year. So, and also mind you, when Cody got drafted or whatever, and when he lost to Roman or whatever, we didn't have the world heavyweight title at that point. So, and then if you remember correctly, we were all talking about when Cody got entered into the tournament. We are like, oh, hope they don't give Cody as like a what's it called, consolation prize. Don't give him the title. Saying like Cody deserves to fight for that that universal title. Yada yada. So like at first we were all against him going for the heavyweight title, but now I feel like members of the community are going against him going for that title, and they want to see the heavyweight. So I mean, historically, the Universal WWE title is what his father never won. You know what I'm saying? He didn't win this new heavyweight title that only has one title holder in its lineage. Of course, it's the hard working horse title. The workhorse title and all this. Defend every day type stuff. But it doesn't have the lineage or the prestige, and I feel like it would be a consolation prize. And like if you don't want Cody to win the WWE title yet, he just doesn't win it yet. And
Mm-hmm.
now, saying all that, I went on for a while saying all that. Will I be mad if they book Cody against Seth and they have a good match and a good story? No. I'm the kind of fan that if you give me a good program to get behind, I can get behind it. I'll enjoy it. It's a TV show at the end of the day. It's not like I'm betting money on him to win the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, where anything can happen. I'm just a guy watching a TV show. And if you give me good story, I can get behind it. But I still want Cody to face Roman. But if they do put him against Seth, it still leaves Roman versus The Rock, Seth versus Cody. It looks like they're going to do Drew versus Punk. So I feel like if all the main top guys kind of get put in feuds where everything kind of culminates at Mania and no one feels like the guy who's left out, I feel like it's a win-win at the end of the day.
Yeah. I do think he goes Roman Reigns, to be honest with you. I think this is for the main reason of what you just said of, this is the title my dad's supposed to win. And I don't know. I want him to go world heavyweight. I've been open about this. It's not that I hate Cody Rhodes. I just feel how he's presented, and this isn't just WWE because he's literally the same character he was in AEW. Um, he cries too much for me. Like every promo's the same, and you know exactly what he's gonna say, and to me it's a little bit bland. Um, there's nothing for me to get behind with Cody Rhodes. And I just I've I've convinced myself that Roman Reigns is getting the record from Hulk Hogan, and so to me, to waste and I do see it as a waste, to have Cody Rhodes in this match, to have him lose again, um, unless there's some sort of like stipulation where if Cody loses, he can't challenge for it again or something. I don't see a purpose to having that match. Whereas there's history with him and Seth that we never really got to see the end of that feud. And I would rather see that match and have someone like The Rock or some sort of part timer or someone, maybe even someone like Randy Orton who can afford to take a loss to Roman. In that Mania spot, whereas I don't think Cody can afford to take a second loss at Mania. I think the fans will start to turn on believing he in the finish the story thing. If he loses, um, so for me, if we, I think we could be a little bit patient with it and have Cody be the one to beat Roman at a Survivor Series or something like that. Or SummerSlam. I know we've said in the past that it should be Mania, and maybe even if we have to wait another year to have it happen, just let Roman get the record, and I know a lot of the casual fan base doesn't necessarily care about records, and so they want it to be done now, and maybe Cody does beat at Mania, but I don't know. I would prefer Seth versus Cody because from a logical standpoint, to me, there's nothing in the recent story that tells me why Cody should be there against Roman. Everything you said is true. You know, he's gone through all these obstacles, but at no point have these obstacles pointed towards Roman Reigns, in my opinion, how I viewed the show. Um, and so just to have him randomly be put over there, especially seeing that he's technically still a Raw superstar, and it would have made logical sense that because the Kevin Owens part of the trade didn't happen till after Survivor Series, so the Super Friends story was over. Why not just move Cody over there on this build up there? And so just there's no storyline there, and so I can't get behind it. I just can't.
Well, now what if what if Cody say next episode of Raw or whatever on SmackDown, if he picks Roman, and then I guess I guess in WWE logic, since he picked Roman, he's now going to be a SmackDown superstar. Do you think there's enough build between now and Mania to convince you to get Cody Roman Part 2?
It depends on if Roman's going to be there, because I don't think Cody can build it himself, in my opinion. Unless he changes his promo style, because every week I can tell you what it's going to be. What do you want to talk about? I got to finish the story, this, that, and the third. And I mean, maybe Paul Heyman can help build it, but if Roman's not going to be at Chamber, like it's reported that he's not, and that takes a month away from Roman being there. That leaves us a month and a half potentially of Roman being on the show to build. I just don't know if there's enough time to convince me. Maybe it can convince the more casual crowd, but me myself, I can't get behind it if it's only like that little amount of build to it.
Me personally, I'm not essentially team Cody has to beat Roman. I'm more team. Cody needs to win the Universal WWE title before he even wins the heavyweight title. Because I feel like if he wins the heavyweight title first, it's gonna look more as like a consolation slash we can't put you over Roman yet, so here's this to hold on to it type of
Mhm.
thing. I feel especially because he already had the chance to go after his world heavyweight title for the better part of a year, and he chose not to. You know what I'm saying? He decided to, you know, he was in all these feuds. He could go after Seth, but he didn't, and all this other stuff. So I feel like if he chooses Seth now, it's kind of a consolation prize. So that's why I feel like Cody wasn't the right guy to win the Rumble this year.
I
I, f-
agree.
I feel yeah. So he should have won the Universal title first, and then down the line, if you want to have him hold the heavyweight title, add more to his resume. Yes, but he should win
I
the Universal W
so
title first.
I feel Cody should have won Money in the Bank this year.
Mm.
Because what you could then have done is give him the briefcase. Roman gets the record, and someone, let's say Solo turns on him, or whatever. Then Cody can come out and cash in, and be the one to beat Roman. And I know that's cheap, but um, I don't know. That goes against what I believe. I don't believe a face should be Money in the Bank because Money in the Bank is sort of like a free title match where you steal it.
Unless they call their shot like ahead of
Right,
time.
right. And so I think we could have waited a little bit and let Cody be Money in the Bank. I definitely don't. But at that same time, like who else could have won Rumble?
I mean,
Um,
one way you can maybe go about it is like Cody gets somehow like talked into slash like disrespected to the point where he defends his like title opportunity at Chamber. He puts it on the line against somebody. Like say somebody's attacking him, somebody's dissing him, and this is his daddy. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? He feels like he needs to protect his pride and his ego. That he puts it up for grabs at Chamber, and he loses it at Chamber,
mhm,
and then that would put Cody back in the out of the title picture, but more into a grudge match at Mania. I just don't feel like he's put into position to beat Roman at Mania, and like you said, he can't afford two losses in a row at Mania.
right. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with what you just said there. So we're gonna move forward. I'm actually gonna cut this segment. I'm gonna make this a bonus episode I'll do by myself of me ranting on this whole CM Punk thing.
Mhm.
Because that's a whole hour in and of itself. Uh, so we'll just move on to questions of from the Discord. We've sort of touched on this first question last week, but it was asked, so we'll touch on it again. For DJ Wavy D, why is Raw the better show than SmackDown?
Raw is the better show. For one, we have a champion who is on TV weekly. Even though he is not my preferred champion, he does
Mm,
put on good matches. I might be over his character. His character might be a little stale to me, but the fans that go to the show still love him. They still love doing his chant. So if they can get behind him, and occasionally I get behind him depending who he's facing, how the story goes. I can get behind him.
mm-hmm,
I just like seeing my title change hands more often. Um, Seth is a great champion. We have the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time in Gunther.
mm,
Um, we have a badass, sexy woman who is our world champion, strong woman, strong independent woman.
mm,
We got mommy Rhea Ripley, always on top. We have the tag team champions are Monday Night Raw superstars. In the Judgment Day. What I'm saying? All rise with the Judgment Day. Shout out my boy R Truth. Um,
mm.
yeah, no, I just feel like we have all around great talent. We got 3 hours worth of programming. You know what I'm saying? It's Triple H's baby. I feel like he gives more attention to Raw than he does SmackDown.
Mm.
And if it's just Triple H's baby, it's my baby. Team Red all the way. Monday Night history. We got
Yeah,
this.
and
Netflix and Tussle.
absolutely. Um, and you missed the new reason why I would say this, and you have the best commentary team in wrestling now. Pat McAfee's back full time,
Mm.
and so you got McAfee and Cole together. I know a lot of people are not a big fan of McAfee, but this is gonna be good. One here's the problem with McAfee is he's a casual watcher. So when he because he hasn't been on commentary consistently for 6 to 8 months, I'm pretty certain he's hasn't watched anything. Um, and so he doesn't know what he's anything of the stories. But once he gets 2-3 weeks into this,
Mm.
the chemistry will be there. I think it's the best team at least in WWE right
So
now.
does that mean we're getting Corey Graves and Wade Barrett on SmackDown?
That is what I believe is going to happen. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Which makes SmackDown better because I know you never want to see anyone lose their job, but Kevin Patrick deserved to a long time ago.
He wasn't hitting, bro. He wasn't hitting.
And then the second question here, the last one from the Discord this week. We had Braun Breaker, Roxanne Perez, and Tiffany Stratton, all from NXT, show up at the Rumble. If you had to choose one of them to stay on the main roster, and they were the only ones of the three to stay, who would it be and why?
All right, bet. I'm gonna throw you for a curveball, okay? Throw you
Okay.
for a curveball. Out of the three of these folks, I feel like there is a definite one that most people would like. You know what I'm saying? Most people would pick, probably even yourself would pick. And then there's a second person who, if you're focused on that division, everyone will kind of pick. But I'm taking the dark horse in this trio. I'm taking Roxanne Perez.
Ooh.
I feel like she is the most versatile of the three. I feel like you can evolve her in many stories. I feel like she could be your fighting workhorse mid card champion. I feel like she could sell the story of being the underdog who rises to the top. I feel like she has the craziness in her to play a heel. And I feel like out of the three of them, I feel like she got some of the best merch. You know what I'm saying? Like to Tiffany Stratton, of course, she's like the athletic blonde bombshell who got the athletic gene of a goddess, and she'd be doing her thing. But that role's kind of already filled. We got the Charlotte Flair. You know what I'm saying? She might be the next Charlotte Flair, but we still kind of got Charlotte for another, let's say, 6 to 8 years, going strong, depending on how long she wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? We got Charlotte. And, Tiffany is kind of like a Charlotte 2.0 in a way. Braun Breaker, he that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He got wrestling in his blood. He's a strong, athletic dude. He's a powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? He's proven that he could do both heel and face. But like you can't sell him as an underdog. You can only sell him as a strong, powerful superstar. And if he's not strong and powerful, he might as well be buried. You know what I'm saying? Because once you break that illusion that he's not going to beat everyone, that he's not, going to beat everyone's ass, like once you break that illusion, it's hard to build him back up. Like, for example, if he goes to the main roster and he fails, he might be another Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross was that dominant force in NXT who everyone loved. He came to the main roster the first time, wasn't booked properly, he failed, he left, he came back under Triple H. He's still not quite succeeding to his current point. And so the big, muscular, like athletic freaks, even like Bobby Lashley, he got world champion, but he was never the face of WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, if you're not pushed as that big, strong threat right away, and you don't maintain that, and you can't do much outside of that, it's gonna be hard for you to stay relevant. Whereas Roxanne, I feel like got that versatility to do a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she could interact with a lot of people. She could tell stories. You can give her like that AJ Lee role where she's like the girl next door, kind of like girlfriend to a lot of superstars. Or you can serve as like the crazy girl who's attacking superstars backstage, stalking people. You know what I'm saying? You can push her as the underdog like Daniel Bryan. I feel like she's very versatile.
I'm gonna say this right now. You just sold me on Roxanne Perez. No. But now the answer to me is it's Braun Breaker. I'm sure everyone kind of expected that would have been the answer. Just because I feel when you have to strike now that it's hot. Like, I feel like Roxanne. While she is versatile, I personally see her in the same light as I see Sasha Banks, and I think Sasha Banks is completely overrated. Um, outside of like Sasha's character, um, I don't necessarily think Sasha was all that, all that good. I think there's a reason Vince McMahon didn't push her. And I feel the same way with Roxanne. I feel she's a little bit dull, even when she does get the little like crazy side there. Like it's not believable to me, at least. Tiffany, she's good. She's athletic, but there's only so much you can do with what she has. The Barbie character can only go so far, and I don't think outside of that we haven't been able to really see her evolve her character. And so if she's just going to be the hot blonde, like you said, we have 16 of those on the roster.
Shoot, you got characters like her, like Carmella and Chelsea Green, who
Right.
their character trait is they're the center of attention.
Right. And so I it's sort of similar to like when Liv Morgan came up from NXT and she literally was Carmella's gimmick,
Mm.
the Jersey girl. No one cared about Liv Morgan. She had to portray what she is now for people to care about her. And so I'm not quite sold on Tiffany yet in terms of her ability to adapt her character. Because like you did said, you don't have a Charlotte Flair in NXT, but you have her on the main roster. How are you going to separate yourself? Which is why as much as people complain about how Rhea looks, like the goth character, there's a reason she went that direction because her blonde self in 2015 was being compared to Charlotte, and she wanted to stand out. And so Braun, to me, I'm with you though that if Braun Breaker can't get over on the main roster, there's no fixing it. So you have to do it right. You have to present it right, and I don't know I don't know. You really changed my answer on this one. I can't really defend it. Roxanne, you are sort of right with Roxanne, where she is more versatile. All right, so we'll move on. When we logged on here, Wavy D said he had a freestyle written, so we're gonna let him perform some bars for us. See what he got written for us.
All right, guys. So before like a half hour before the show started, like at my other job, I was helping other people write poetry and some raps and stuff, and so I was laying in bed prepping for the show. And I was listening to music, and I was like, "Yo, what if I just wrote like a rap site, a rap like a wrestling rap?" I was watching Stash Bros actually, and they were taking a quiz where it was like guess the rapper based off of this wrestling themed lyrics or whatever. And I was like, "Yo, I could write stuff like that or just as good, if not better." All right, so bear with me. All right, here's what I got. You know what I'm saying? It's like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six bars. It's a 6 bar for you.
Okay.
Just like Cody Rhodes, I'm trying to finish the story. Blaying through jobbers, it's about to get gory. Running the streets like Braun be running the ropes. I catch on quick like White did the slopes. I'm a natural at it. I handle my body with care. I don't have to jump off ladders. That's not my kind of flair. I be wooing the ladies because I'm styling and profiling. Some might say I'm jet flying. This ain't a plane ride from hell, but best believe she gonna see me from bell to bell. To keep my money in check, I hired Brad from the APA. But to keep my girls in check, I got like Vince inside the NDA.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
There y'all go. There y'all go.
That last one's gonna get you in trouble.
I don't know if you caught every bar in there. I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if it went over your head, but you know what I'm saying. Just like Rhodes, I'm trying to finish my story. Blading through jobbers is about to get gory. Like you know what I'm saying. Running the streets like Braun be running the ropes. I don't know if y'all saw this past week. Braun Breaker runs at 23 miles per hour on the ropes. He got clocked in at 23 miles per hour. I catch on quick like White did a slope like Shawn White. That might be a throwback for some of y'all. You know what I'm saying? If y'all wasn't, but now with X Games back in the early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? I'm a natural with it. I handle my body with care. I don't jump off of ladders. That's not my kind of flair. I'm a natural. Ric Flair. I don't do outflyers. I'm not a spot fest demon. I'm a natural entertainer. You know, that's not my kind of flair. You know what I'm saying? I be wooing the ladies. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm styling and profiling. Some might even say I be jet flying. You know Ric Flair famous
Right,
promo.
right.
You know the famous promo. Now, if y'all watch Dark Side of the Ring, you know where this is going. This ain't a play ride. This ain't a plane ride from hell. But best believe she gonna see me from bell to bell.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? We not be up. You know what I'm saying? How Ric Flair, you know, was flashing ladies. You know what I'm saying? I don't get down like that. But best believe me, she gonna see me from bell to bell. You know what I'm saying? We about to get down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then to keep my money in check, I hired Brad, you know, Bradshaw, you know what I'm saying, from the APA, you know what I'm saying, if y'all, you know, y'all attitude era babies out there, you know what I'm saying.
Mm.
But to keep my girls in check, I got like Vince and signed the NDA, you know what I'm saying. Bars.
Bars. All right, so we're gonna end this show just like we did last week, and we'll continue to do with it's a Thirsty Tuesday again. Same concept. For women, we have to pick who we will prefer to go on a date with. Again, one from main roster WWE, one from NXT, one from AEW/ROH, and then one from the independents or free agent list. So from main roster, we got Bailey, our Royal Rumble winner. From NXT, we have Jada Parker. If you're not familiar with NXT, she's newer. Just search her up on Instagram. That's all you got to do. And then from AEW, we got Timeless Tony Storm. And then we have Tessa Blanchard from the Independents. We'll let Wavy D go first. Who you picking?
So for y'all, for our folks in the Discord, you know, I told you my answer might surprise some of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So typically, if you go through my Instagram, you see who I follow, you might see some women who resemble what's her name from NXT again?
Jada Parker.
You might see some
Yeah.
women who represent Miss Parker, you know what I'm saying? You might see some women who look like her, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
She is a fine woman, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But as you guys know, me as DJ AVT, I like to connect on the emotional level. You know what I'm saying? I'm more than just a pretty face chaser. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm more than just your average pimp, average player. You know what I'm saying? So like when it comes to me and my women, you know what I'm saying? I like to connect. I like to see the deeper, down inside you. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not only looking for a woman for the night, I'm looking for a woman for life. You know what I'm saying? I need a part.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying? That's why at first I wasn't fully, she was my full cup of tea. But if you go on IWC TikTok or IWC Twitter, they're always pointing out that homegirl got cake. I didn't see that first. But apparently she got cake, and then I finally seen it. And she has a great personality. I gotta go Bailey number one. You know what I'm saying? Bailey, you know what I'm saying? She is an attractive woman. She's a strong woman. She might got the Karen cut, but we could work around that. You know what I'm saying? But she has a great personality. You know what I'm saying? She loved the fans. She say she don't. She loved the fans. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go Bailey number one, and then Miss Parker number two. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I like to get her get to know her better. You know what I'm saying? Personality wise, I might tune NXT a little more.
Yeah, they put her without the mud. She's ghetto now.
Yeah, she's with the one with Reggie. Reggie's the manager.
Yeah.
The GTA crew.
Yep.
Next I gotta go with, you know what I'm saying, I could show her a better way of life. You know what I'm saying? She, I could show her how a man should treat her. You know what I'm saying? From my knowledge, she got out of a pretty bad relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Homegirl Tessa Blanchard, very toxic relationship from what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I could treat you right. You know what I'm saying? I put Tessa number three. And saying number 4 is timeless Tony Storm. She might be timeless, but we're also gonna be timeless. Right? We're gonna spend no time together. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be timeless. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Bailey, Jada, Tessa, Tony.
Okay. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. It's Jada and no one else. It's Jada and no one else. And like I said, just look her up on Instagram. And that's all you got. That's all you got to do, and you'll understand my reasoning. um, I will say though, Bailey do got that cake. If it took you that long to realize that she do, and then I'm gonna put Tessa third like you did, and Tony Storm ain't even number 4. She like number 400.
So I'm not gonna hold you. So I was about to look up Jada, but there's another person who popped up on my Explore page. Yo, low key. Naya got going. No, that's Naya. That's Naya Jax. She got going on a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I look like Jakara for a minute. I was gonna say Miss Jackson, absolutely. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we close out this show?
No. Not that I could think of. You know what I'm saying? Push Cody towards the Universal title. But I'm down for whatever.
I think he's gonna be on. I think he's gonna be on SmackDown on Friday. So I think that's when he makes the decision.
I'm here for the roller coaster ride to WrestleMania. Take me for the journey. I'm here for entertainment. I can get on board with whatever. Just show me effort and show me progress, and I'm here.
Right. All right. And with that, go to junkyardmediagroup.com. You can find all our content there. Tune in Thursday to the Junkyard Media Group YouTube page to watch Beyond the Junkyard. Watch out. I am going to post a sort of bonus episode one of these days. I got some things to say about the fans again. Some of y'all be flip-flopping on CM Punk now. And I'm gonna save that rant for another day. But with that, we'll see y'all next week, and y'all have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. And until then, see y'all then.
Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like it's a moment.